Thank you, Anthony, for that wonderful introduction. Indeed, it's my pleasure to join everyone here for the inaugural gala event to celebrate the first year of AMI and its existence. We're just standing outside the Magiculum at the moment, and I'm coming to you from historic Park Estate here in Nottingham, the United Kingdom. If you'll just bear with me, I have a little special something to share with you. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What profit hath a man of all his labour, which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. Now those are the opening passages or verses of one of the most famous books of the Old Testament, the book of Ecclesiastes, which I will argue today really contains a number of fundamental truths. In order to understand these fundamental truths, I brought with me some passages from the book of Ecclesiastes. In fact, I call them my vanitas cards. Let's explore some of these passages to uncover some of these truths. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth to the brilliant or favor to the learned. But time and chance happen to them all. What does anyone gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing. They have no further reward, and even their name is forgotten. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Since no one knows his future, who can say what is to come? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. I have seen all things that are done under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. And our final passage from Ecclesiastes 3:20, all go to the same place, all come from dust, and to dust all return. Now, when we listen to those passages, I think there are three fundamental truths that emerge from that text. The first truth is that time itself is inevitable. The passage of time is not something we can control. In fact, the sands of time as they flow through this timer are constant and regular. We may delude ourselves into thinking we can stop time or slow it down. Indeed, as we watch the sand tumble from the top chamber to the bottom. It simply continues inevitably forever. Now, for a fleeting moment, magicians might think they can stop time. But that itself is also a delusion, a fantasy in the mind of the magician, because time does indeed continue to flow. The second main truth from those passages involves the uncontrollability of chance itself. The casting of the die is not predictable. Whether we have one or many, we cannot know the array of numbers that will fall simply by chance. And the final and most profound truth contained within this text is, of course, the inevitability of death itself. Now, that inevitability of death really does find its way through popular culture throughout the millennia. And one of my favorite expressions, representations of that contemplation of death, comes from the tragedy of Hamlet by none other than Shakespeare. In Act 5, Scene 1, Hamlet uncovers the grave diggers and he finds a skull in front of him. He picks up the skull and he says, "Ah, poor Yorick, I knew him, Horatio." And the ensuing dialogue between the grave diggers and Hamlet then discuss the fact that this could be Yorick's skull, and Yorick was just a court jester, a harlequin, if you will. But then through their conversation, they say this could be the skull of Alexander the Great, or even the great emperor, Caesar himself. And the conclusion they reach through the dialogue is that whether one is Yorick, Alexander, or Caesar, all end up in the dust. And this, of course, leads to Hamlet's famous soliloquy and his fundamental question: to be or not to be, that is the question. So as he contemplates his own mortality, we know that trying to cheat death is nothing more than trying to grasp smoke through your fingers. It is indeed a futile effort. So, whether it's time, chance, or death, these truths are fundamental and found within this text. There's one final thing I want to show you, of course, is that perhaps over and above time and chance, there is that last fundamental truth. You see that our passages have vanished, leaving us with one final reflection, that of the memento mori, the inevitability of death and the contemplation of our own mortality here on earth. But I don't want to finish with a message of despair. And drawing on the existentialists, there is an idea that, well, if all of this is inevitable, what can we do today that makes a difference? Perhaps we embrace the famous dictum, carpe diem, seize the day. And you too can seize the day. Wake up each day and make sure that each day is important. And maybe, just maybe, that which you do makes a possible contribution to making the world a better place. Thank you.